practice. Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to highlight why the task of this project is so important. The title is related to common sense and high technology, meaning common sense to say both the sense that every one of us has and a reasonable approach. And high tech, there are many technology that are developed more and more, but both these two things are not sufficient. I will tell you something about that. Small presentation, just to say that I'm involved as a representative of professionals, both chemists and physicists in my region. I am consultant for the mayor of the city, so I have some relation with the administration town. I'm one of the few people which are advising the Environmental Protection Agency of my region. I'm in many things, but it is not so easy to push towards reasonable approach for manage something that professor from Università of Spirito Santo suggested before. In the first day of our Congress, Enrico Davoli remembered us something. World Health Organization has in its own constitution the first principle refer to health as a complete physical, mental and social well-being. So this perception of being well is something which is in the first principle of the World Health Organization. And more in 2000, air quality guidelines for Europe from World Health Organization stated criteria for consideration of sensory effects, defining intensity, quality, and acceptability of sensorial impact. So there is something which is really clearly stated, as Enrico Davoli suggested, that there should be some requirements to assess that there is annoyance, a not small proportion of population, and the annoyance should be felt for some long time, at least 2% of the hours of a year. And I provide a case study that is from where I live. Does it affect a small part of the population? These are, say, the complaints, the civic number from where the complaints to the local police arrives for Odours. And you see that every civic number is calling. So it is not one person that is saying there are problems. More, there are sociological and say health. It is the agency, local health agency, that provide questionnaires, and they say that for what concerns Odours, there were compared two districts, one very close to the industrial plan and the other far away. There is also a scale here where you have an area of negativity, so they say the one which are exposed to emission, say area negativity is 112, say that it is very bad, while 105 say in the other district say that it's very good on the total of 200 people compared in the two districts. I mean, it is very well defined problem. There are some aspects that are not well defined yet, in any case. I mean, when we say a district, it happens that the district is not homogeneous. So you go for characterizing the area, and you are averaging situation that can be pretty different. For instance, this is a plant. We have most of the complaints for a very close area. So if someone go for statistics and give random questionnaires, they pick all the people from here, almost, and this is not represented. So we should be sensitive to measure or collect information in relevant position. So this is the statistics from 2009 to 2016 for olfactory nuisances, irritation of deposition or acoustic impact or visions. And you can see that this is the column, the orange column is the highest, and it is the one related to other nuisances. It's a problem which is not solved. This is well collected and shared within the community. There are problems. There are some great signalers, I call them. There are people that they are really involved, and you can, in this way, identify where the hotspots are for what concerns perception. This is constant, this is coherent, and you can check. There is something that we succeeded in, and it is before 2016, the only point, the point for the official air quality was located somehow 1 kilometer from the hotspots in the emission sources. After really fighting hard, we succeeded in moving in an area which is both critical for what concerns odor and deposition, and here it is odor and noise. This is very close to coke ovens, and there is also health risk for what concerns carcinogen, benzene, etc. And it is really recent achievement. I mean, in 2012 we identified gradients, both indoor and outdoor, for what concerns benzene in the area, identifying this critical point. But it's not easy. So what can we do? We can support this perception. They say, hey, they are subjective feelings with many things. Something is very simple. Other, we talk a lot during this day. There are instruments that mimics olfactory human systems. So there are sensors that play the role of olfactory receptors. Then the stimulus that is acquired is processed, and there is some kind of recognition of, say, the type of odor and the intensity of odor. Just to give an idea of how does it happens, what is happening when you are sensing gas. For instance, when there is no gas, there is some kind of current that is moving across the sensor. When the gas arrives, the polymer is swelling, and you have less current, so you have a kind of resistance which is going up. These are some little boxes which are collecting continuous these signals from many kind of sensors, and from really minute resolution data, really huge numbers. You can identify some profile that can be identified as representing not odorous or malodorous or unknown even type of air. I would like just to show you a little thing that can be done for also validating, in a way, your the people that are signaling. So the situation of different type of air are representative in a bidimensional maps, and this is say the area which represent bad air, malodorous air, and you could where is it? You see a red dot there? Yeah. Okay. It is something you see that the time during the day is arriving. It is normal situation, then something is changing, you go in another type of air, and at a certain point you go in this area. So you know that at the receptor point where the E-nose is, if at that time there are people complaining, it is something that has some kind of instrumental recognition. So this was just to say that we have many things that we can do. This has been published, for instance, people were complaining when this area was hit. So it is consistent. You can really have a kind of confirmation. And on the whole, you can display really collection of ambient air, which is analyzed in continuous. Then the people can contact either the police or some central control room, like we call them, to signal. And in that moment, thanks to technology that is provided, also sample can be collected and analyzed either for chemical composition or for what concern odor concentration. We think that then from this, say, profile of different classes of air, we can get information about frequency of bad air, malodorous air, duration and intensity. This can be something. This is interesting since the citizen complaint record could be somehow validated. It's one of the possible. For sure, Carlos will say that there are many simpler approaches to this. But something that I would like just to stress is we should, even if we have sophisticated technology, there is need of closing the loop. I catch a lot of information. Something that is really needed is to give a feedback to the population. I mean, I collaborated with you, you involved me. I should get also some feedback. And this is something that requires an involvement of the public sector, which is not easy to achieve. Otherwise, we get the opposite effect, disaffection, or even worsening of social conflict, because you created expectation and you were not able to reach to something. So, timely restitution of what has been learned and consequent decisions, because the point is not to involve people, is to be able to take decisions that are binding to economic stakeholder. This is something which is really, really important. I would say that measuring is not important. I could have the best instrument and show my muscle. I'm the one who is characterizing perfectly the odor impacts. And you could even cheat in a very sophisticated way. No problem. I was measuring in a stupid position, for instance. This is done. If you don't want to provide a real answer to the question on the table, you can measure and take time, and nothing is happening. So we should focus really on providing information that is relevant for the purpose, and this we can really think to the specific problem which are dealing with. And also the will of participating, of being part, is not sufficient. Everything should go in the, you say, the quadruple helix or something like that, which is very suggestive. Knowledge, management, and trust. What I think that is really we need as society, as modern society, is building trust. This we should walk our words and involve from the beginning decision makers beside the citizen. this is, to me, is the critical point, because if they do not believe, we make the best picture that is possible, and there is a problem, and nothing happened. The big boss arrives saying, "Good job," and everything is keeping on as before, business as usual. It is finished.
Ah, è una miseria.
Just a very short comment, just because I think the last part gives a little bit of time. Have you ever thought during this type of exercise that you have been involved? You know, everybody now these days is using a smartphone and Facebook.
Plenty of.
So what about the use of social network?
Who is in charge of managing the information do not want to know. This is the problem. There is real-time application on the smartphone. We have plenty of. I've got a lot of very good friend engineer that ask, "Hey, I need something like that." Blah 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 blah. Here it is. You want it is geolocalized. You have a unique double check identification, so that you can be really identify safely and immediately. Of course, the redundancy show if you are cheating or not, because if you are the only one with signaling, so there is a lot of possibility technology, high tech.
This is the point. I was speaking about, I speak Facebook, for example.
Yeah, but you have whatever. You download from Android. How it is it is very easy to have this. The problem is the use that you do of the information. People which are as the honor and the charge of deciding should be involved in this. This is the point. Either from the technical point and from the finding the balance for your own area. So you should fight for it. In many cases, to me, the easiest thing in my case would be move people from a number of buildings. It would be a management strategy. Could be. I create a buffer zone. This could be. But you should enforce this decision. Take the decision. Not easy.
So I have to cut the questions here, because otherwise we are running out of time. The next presentation is